create labels, we'll go under the master files, down to templates, and click on the patient document templates. Click the new button. Pulls up Microsoft Word. I'm going to set my zoom feature to page width so I can see my margins. There we go, left and right. Up at the top you'll see I have three toolbars: the standard, the formatting, and then finally the mail merge. Now to create labels on the mail merge toolbar, we want to click on the main document setup button. When you click on it, it'll ask you what type of document are you setting up or would like to set up. We want to set up labels. And select it and click OK. In your label options window, list of label products or manufacturers out there that produce labels. For example, I go to Office Max and I use the Avery standard product. I can select it here, and then over here select the product number. So on that package that I buy from Office Max that has all those labels, it'll have the product number, and typically I use the product 5160. Select it. Over here it updates it and shows that the label height is 1 inch and 2.63 for the width. Click OK, and it says in order to apply the selected label options, anything that's behind here will be lost. Since we have nothing, we'll click OK. Automatically it puts the labels or the fields in, and you can see the sections. Now at this point, although you can go ahead and click in each little box and type in the patient's name, address, and such, instead we'll do something that's a lot quicker. We'll insert the merge fields. So when we go ahead and do a mail merge on these labels, it'll automatically pull all the information from Advanced MD in here, depending on the merge fields that we choose. For example, click here in the first label and hold down the key Alt-S, and what I want to do is pull out the patient's full name, double click, hit enter, Alt-S, and let's start patient street, city, comma space, state, and zip. Now make sure that you do have spaces in between your mail merge fields, because if you don't and they're together, when you actually run the mail merge for these labels, you'll get funny results. So once you have everything that you want in the first label here, field, the next thing you want to do is up on the toolbar, you're going to see this little button here. It's called the Propagate Labels. Now what that will do is it'll take the first label and duplicate it in all the remaining labels that are available on that page. Now there's 30 labels on this page, and I have 32 patients in Advanced MD. No worries, all we're doing is we're setting up one page. When the mail merge comes together after we save this template, even if we had 1,000 patients, it'll pull them all in and duplicate the pages with each little label having the patient's own different name and address. Click on the Propagate, and automatically it updates all the other fields with the patient's name, full name, address, and in fact in the second field you'll notice the next record. What this means is that the first field is going to pull in the first patient, and instead of pulling in the same patient for the second label and the third, it says to please go to the next record and then pull in the patient's full name, and then the next record, patient's full name, etc. When we're done, all we need to do is click on the Save button, name it, call it our labels, and again, if you don't type something in the description, you won't be able to click the OK button. So type in anything, even if it's one letter, and click OK. After it's saved, go ahead and close out of Word and say we don't want to save it because we already did. And you'll see now we have our labels. Now let's go ahead and do our patient mail merge, or where we can go ahead and generate our labels. Close out, go to Reports, down to Patient Listings, and then over and down and click on Patient Mail Merge. First we'll go ahead and pull up our label template for the Merge template field here, clicking the ellipsis button and double clicking on the labels. You do have sort options, so you can sort your labels by patient if you'd like, maybe the patient's last name. You can do it ascending, or checking this box will do it descending, so the patients from Z to A will print out that way on the labels. And use the filter and saying, look, I only want to send labels or print labels to patients who live in the state of Utah. Now since I want to do it for all the patients here, I'm going to go ahead and change my filter to blank. Click the Next button. It'll give us a preview of the patients that will pull into our labels. In fact, if you remember, I set this to sort by last name descending. So there's Z, T, T, S. There's the first 10, here's the last 10, and I have a total of 32 records. You want to make sure that you have something here. If you don't, you can do one of two things. You can click on the back button and maybe reset your filter or set it to blank like I did, or you may need to go back and edit your labels. Maybe you have two merge fields that have no spaces between them. So I'm happy with what I have. I click Next again. My preview looks good, and I can go ahead and click Finish. And it pulls up Microsoft Word with all my labels. Now remember, the page that I had only had 30 labels, but I had 32 patients. And scroll down, and there's my 30 and the additional 2. Of course, and then the rest are left blank. Before you print your labels on actual labels and maybe wasting those, what I would do is I'd print this on a clean sheet of paper first. After I print on a sheet of paper, what I'll do is I'll hold it up to the labels, up to the light, and watch the lines come through. If this label, for example, is printing too far to the right, like all these others, I can go ahead and come back here, click and drag this line over maybe, a space or two here, and it pushes them in. So if they're on the line, now they're moved in a little bit. And it only moves this column for this page. In addition, hover over the top part and see if I can actually bring this down a bit. And if I can't bring it down from the top, I can always go over in the margin and click and drag the top margin down a bit to bring them all down. Play with that, and then once you have a blank sheet of paper that you printed off the labels on that lines up with the labels, the actual sheet of labels, blank ones, click your print button, let it print on the labels, and then be sure when you're done, if you'd like to use these later, save your work.